are this afternoon's top stories. Sugar workers receive compensation package. Cubans emotional ahead of papal visit, and Hungarian Prime Minister announces closure of border with Croatia. Good afternoon and welcome to the ZIZ Midday newscast. Today is Friday, 18th September 2015. I am JD Gaines. In national news, today marked a significant milestone for the federal government as former sugar workers of the sugar industry received additional compensation for their work on the sugar estates. This morning's distribution of checks came as the St. Kitts and Nevis celebrates 32 years of independence. An official ceremony was held at the Clico building on South Independence Square Street to kickstart the distribution. It was broadcast live on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM and streamed on www.zizonline.com. A total of 1,861 former sugar industry workers or their beneficiaries are set to gain from the EC $16 million granted by the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela in support of the government's compensation initiative. Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, said recently that the government has doubled the pool of beneficiaries compared to the 968 initially paid out during the first payout in 2005. The Press and Public Relations Department of the Police Force has confirmed that a second individual was injured in Thursday's shooting incident in Cayon. The department, in a press release, said the Violent Crimes Unit is currently investigating the murder of 20-year-old Jason Morton of Hermitage Village, Cayon, and the attempted murder of 17-year-old Anthony Pringle of Shearlane, Bastia. ZIZ News understands that the assailant or assailants left Upper Cayon and journeyed to Morton's home, and while entering the gate, fired a number of gunshots at the victims. Morton was shot in the head and succumbed to his injuries at the scene. Pringle, who was shot in the shoulder, ran in the direction of the basketball court and was taken to the Cayon police station and later transported to the JNF General Hospital, where he is warded in stable condition. There are no suspects in custody at this time. However, investigations are ongoing, the police say. The alluring sounds of smooth jazz filled the St. Kitts Marriott Ballroom on Thursday evening as the Brent Burkhead Quartet performed for an appreciative audience, belting out a majority of original pieces. The quartet received loud, heartfelt applause after each set. While mentioning it was the quartet's second performance in St. Kitts, Burkhead relayed his appreciation to the audience for the warm welcome and thanked them for attending. The evening climaxed with a meet and greet with band members. The quartet is made up of saxophonist Brent Burkhead, internationally renowned bassist Romeo Mendez, best collegiate drummer Carol C.V. Dashiell III, and the jazz pianist, vocalist, and composer Mark Meadows. The Brent Burkhead Quartet, in a program of American jazz, was presented by the U.S. Embassy to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean, and the OECS. We turn our attention now to news on the regional scene. Cubans are eagerly anticipating Pope Francis's visit to the island, with many saying it will have crucial impact on their country. This week, Havana has been getting ready for the pontiff's arrival on Saturday, with banners welcoming him displayed across the capital.
Havana has been getting ready for a visit from Pope Francis on Saturday. Many Cubans watched a televised message from the pontiff asking for prayers. He said he was coming as a missionary of God's mercy and tenderness. Some said the Pope's four-day visit will have a strong historical significance. We are delighted to hear Francis's message, says Lourdes. At least for me, and I think for the Cuban people, it touched the deepest parts of our heart, because we need to have faith, we need to have belief. Francis will visit the United States on Tuesday, both countries for the first time as pontiff. Vatican mediation last year led to a restoration of ties between Washington and Havana. This retiree, Julio, says 90% of the population is willing to take part in this important event, which will have a crucial impact for the moment we are going through for our country, he says. The Pope will celebrate Mass in Havana's Revolution Square on Sunday. Vatican officials say his mission is pastoral, not political, and people should expect no diplomatic message.
In an escalation in crime levels in the Bahamas, ZNS Network News reports that a greater emphasis is being placed on operations at the Department of Corrections as it transitions from a punitive to correctional facility. It continues to face a number of challenges, including gangs and smuggling items into the prison and offenders being killed while out on bail.
Culture is just one of the issues forcing officials at the Bahamas Department of Corrections to take measures to curb violence among inmates. Acting Commissioner Patrick Wright revealed Thursday that although gangs are formed prior to incarceration, the rivalry continues while behind bars. He says the discovery was made by the officer in charge of maximum security after numerous disturbances.
These persons who are causing this are from rival gangs that come from the streets. And so on that note, he brought it to my attention, and he is fast-tracking, making sure that each particular gangs are housed in separate units. So since then, we have minor incidents, but gangs are real.
Another issue facing officials at the Department of Corrections is the smuggling of items, namely cell phones, which Wright says has the potential to do major damage if found in the wrong hands.
We just put in a number of cell phone jammers to jam those signals. 90% of them are in max. We are finding now that trend of cell phones now becoming nil and max because we almost blanket max with the jammers.
On Wednesday, the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, told parliamentarians that inmates are afraid to be released on bail for the fear of being killed. Wright confirmed they've noticed this trend, but that fear is not expressed to officials.
Each inmate, other than those who on either life and death sentence, they have an expiration date. So whether they want to be here or not, I have to let them go. Sad to say.
But while they are imprisoned, Commissioner Wright underscored that efforts are being made to reform inmates as it moves towards becoming a full correctional facility. Sia Scatterly, ZNS Network News.
Internationally, Croatia has closed 7 of 8 road crossings to Serbia after 14,000 migrants entered over the past 2 days, seeking passage to northern Europe. Migrants are now being taken to the Hungary border, but Hungary has started to build a fence along that frontier.
Another morning breaks across Europe. The migrants and refugees keep streaming in, and the EU remains in chaos over how to deal with the crisis. Undeterred by the closure of almost all road crossings into Croatia, thousands are entering the European Union's newest member state at Tovarnik, just over the border from Serbia. From there, the only option remaining is EU and Schengen member Slovenia. People have been trickling into Croatia for several days, their path to their final destination in Western European nations like Germany forced to change following the introduction of tough legislation by Hungary. The threat of imprisonment and deportation for those described as entering the country illegally, along with riot police guarding a 3.5-metre high fenced border, too much for the thousands seeking a better life. On Friday morning, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban announced that a 41-kilometre long fence along the country's border with Croatia will be completed by the end of Friday. Hundreds of soldiers and police have been deployed to the area. The EU will hold an emergency summit next week in a fresh attempt to deal with the disarray within the 28-member bloc on how to find a solution to the crisis.
Voters in Greece are set to take to the polls on Sunday to elect a new parliament. The elections were triggered after former Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras resigned in August amid continuing economic instability in the debt-ridden nation. Here's more.
Preparations for Greece's snap election on Sunday are almost complete. Syriza party leader Alexis Tsipras called the vote after agreeing a third bailout for the country after just 7 months as Prime Minister. On Friday, a convoy of trucks distributed election materials to polling stations across the capital, Athens. A total of 19 parties and party coalitions are set to battle it out in the vote. With opinion polls neck and neck, many voters are undecided.
After my wages have been cut for 40%, 45%, being an educator for children with a wage of 883 euros for 15 years of working at schools, I expect nothing.
I hope these elections will bring stability to the current situation, says this man, and bring us back to normality. With polls suggesting no clear winner, it sets the stage for a cliffhanger vote on Sunday between the political left and right, and the near certainty Greece's next government will be a coalition.
Taking a look at the weather, today's temperatures will reach a high of 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are blowing east-northeast at 5 to 12 miles per hour, becoming calm at times. Seas are slight with swells not exceeding approximately 3 feet. The proximity of a high-pressure system at the lower levels of the atmosphere will result in continued virtually zero shower activity. Generally, dry conditions will persist across the area overnight into early tomorrow. Sunset this evening is expected at 6:11, and sunrise for tomorrow will be at 5:59 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Thank you so much for joining us, as I have been your presenter, JD Keynes. Have a great afternoon.